Good morning. Welcome to this talk organized by both Asociación de Profesores de Inglés de Bahía Blanca and Instituto Superior Juan XXIII English Department. First of all, I would like to thank Analia Leiros, the head of the English Association, who contacted me to give a talk on education and lockdown, or the impact of lockdown on education. First, I thought, wow, what can I tell my colleagues and the students that they don't know, since everyone is in the same boat? That was my first thought. On a second thought, I said, why not asking the fourth year students to share in this meeting the outcome of a project they had carried out with Professor Cynthia Owensworth and Professor Agustina Negretti. So, well, I loved that idea, to tell you the truth. And besides, I had sent that to the United Kingdom a couple of days before I got the call from the association, for a professor had contacted me as an alumna to send some information about the situation of education here in Argentina during lockdown. So I wrote down my ideas and I attached the students' ideas. And there they went to the United Kingdom, to the University of East Anglia. Then I pictured this meeting with two parts. The first part with the students' presentation, and the second part with an informal, relaxed chat with overseas teachers. That's why we count today with the presence of Maria Antonia and Ramon from Spain, Noelia from Italy, and Jennifer from the United States. Last but not least, I overheard that a group of students from the local School of Journalism, Instituto Superior en Ciencia de la Comunicación Social, where I also teach, were making a survey under the supervision of teachers Maria Ocheta and Fabiola Baez. And so we invited them to join this meeting. We thought that it would be useful, it would be interesting to know about what they discovered, the data they collected during this survey. This survey that is about youth and lockdown, right? So before listening to Cynthia Owensworth, who's going to give a short presentation, I would like to end up this with an image that crossed my mind when I was writing down some ideas to send to England. It was the image of Minuteman. I don't know whether you remember from the American Revolutionary War, that Minutemen who were ready at a minute's notice to fight the redcoats. The redcoats are coming, the redcoats are coming. Well, I pictured myself as a minute woman. I would say we could be minute teachers, right? Minute at a minute's notice to answer WhatsApps, to answer emails, to correct homework, to organize virtual meetings. I feel like a minute woman, a minute teacher nowadays. I don't know you, but I guess everybody will agree on this. This time we are working harder than ever. It's not that we haven't been hardworking, because I've always been a hardworking teacher, because I love this. But this time I need a 27, 28 hour day. I mean, 24 is not enough. It's not enough. And so I believe we should see the glass half full and not half empty, and think about this time, this epidemic that takes us all at home, at something good. I mean, I know it's not good, it's not nice to be inside, where sometimes I feel like going out, meeting my family, my friends, and it's not possible. But we should see this as something positive. I have never been a tech teacher. I have always been technologically challenged. Well, those who knows me know, yes, that I'm learning a lot thanks to the help of, well, the institution who organizes meetings. Yes, there are people in charge of this. I could mention Florencia Marfia, Beatriz Serviti, Walter Nievas, who organize meetings in order to help us. But then I think, and this is really important, that I also have the help of the students. I have always believed in the power of cooperation. Yes, for me, cooperation is a keyword. When I was writing my dissertation for the University of East Anglia 20 years ago, a long time ago, almost prehistoric times, I wrote about cooperation. That was the topic of my thesis. And at that moment, I thought about cooperation in class, students cooperating with each other, the teacher cooperating with students. But this time is the other way around, yes? Students cooperate with me. And so all of a sudden, I'm in a class and I get lost. And so the students say, well, Gabby, why don't you look up on the right, on the left, look at that symbol, you can do this and that. And so I think that the key word here is cooperation. If we cooperate, we can, at least spend this time in lockdown a little bit better and learn, yes, and learn from this situation. So let's see the glass half full, right? And now we are going to listen to Cynthia Owensworth. Let's see if Sin is, are you ready, Sin, to give
you? Yes, here I am. Good morning, everyone. Well, experience this present reality, students and teachers of the subject Teaching Practice 4 of the Instituto Superior Juan XXIII, Bahía Blanca, decided to devote some time to look around first, then to look within ourselves, in order to reflect on the current situation of education in our country. We sought information from different sources, listened to specialists, participated in virtual meetings, but fundamentally, we listened to our own voice. We expressed our ideas in a general discussion and debate. Next, our conclusions were compiled in an article that was shared with our community through social media. And then it traveled abroad. It went as far as the UK, to the University of East Anglia. There, it participated in a series of talks about education and the COVID-19. And well, today we're going to share our work with you. Let's welcome our speakers, Ana Beretera, Rita Aguirre, Micaela Gallardo, Oriana Belaunzarán, Sofía Giraudo, Rodrigo Cruz, Jessica Borello, Melina Mohamed, Diego Cañinqueo, and Lucia Del Viso. So when you're ready, girls.
Well, this happens from time to time. And Karen, I think you must start with the presentation. Okay.
Hi. Well, during lockdown, let's log together virtually to unlock our thoughts about COVID-19 and education. Paradigm shift in education. The classroom is leaving aside its leading role as a place where learning happens. The virtual paradigm, this new virtual classroom, does not escape the problem of inequality. Millions of students do not attend face-to-face classes, do not have access to the internet, a smartphone, or a computer.
Elements typical of the classical paradigm are repeated. We need our students to develop their own abilities to learn. We are also reminded of the importance of meaningful learning, especially in teaching foreign languages.
The class in pajamas. It should be useful and resemble as much as possible a class taking place in a classroom. Contact with students is essential, thus highlighting the relevance both to have access to different technological tools and to possess basic knowledge to be able to manipulate the resources. For this to be effective, everyone's effort is required, working together and attending the needs of each reality in order to overcome the different inequalities and difficulties that may arise. According to this, in SSL, we must seek dialogue and collective construction. Teachers should work with projects build and provide conditions for the learning process to be achieved.
At the beginning of the pandemic, children were saturated with many tasks, which put extra pressure on them. Their quantity and complexity caused many to experience high levels of frustration. Strategies should be analyzed to achieve a balance between what the curriculum requires in terms of content and evaluation and what can really be achieved with the available resources so as not to overwhelm students. We also fully agree with Chomsky's proposal, since by creating activities that encourage creativity and help them better understand the world, children will be able to develop critical thinking and find motivation in the long learning process. This child-focused approach fosters independence and social responsibility.
We are now going to talk about the general features of schools that have seen changes during these times. Certainly, it is difficult to have direct feedback when teaching young learners by virtual lessons, since the interaction is completely different. It is believed that children will realize the importance of school life once they have come back to their normal lessons. The loss of the rich interaction between teachers and students among themselves represents another complication. At least, online classes can help to keep up with the classwork and to maintain the contact with the teacher. The fact that schools have been taken inside home is felt as an eruption by teachers, students as well as by their families, because there is no place to rest or privacy, and everyone involved feels exhausted and overwhelmed. As a consequence, there is a greater pressure over teachers that have to deal with students, parents, school directives, and new technologies which have opened a brand new world for them. There is also the problem of accompaniment, and some students, mostly young children, were not accustomed to study on their own. Some young students need a lot of support from the teacher to organize themselves and to keep up with the homework, an activity very difficult to carry out through virtual classes, but not impossible. From a general point of view, we think that the pandemic has tested each of us, as parents, teachers, and students. No matter what our role is, we are confronted with a new challenge every day. And as teachers, we perfectly know that problems occur in the classroom as well. However, in this situation, we cannot control everything as we were accustomed to. We feel that our hands are tied, which in turn generates frustration and a feeling of helplessness, since we lack the main component, which in this case is human interaction.
Good morning. Therefore, it can be seen that teachers are making a great effort to make education possible. In fact, it can be said that teachers are playing a major role during this time, since they are helping children to get rid of the stressful, tiring, and negative feelings. In other words, teachers are virtually detaching students from the reality, at least during the time the video call lasts. And they do so by helping them to concentrate on useful tasks. And by doing so, teachers are trying to instill in their students feelings of happiness, usefulness, and calmness. Another point to consider, to take into account, is that teachers have to change their routines overnight. And so they are feeling overwhelmed with the new platforms, with the great amount of work, and with the lack of privacy, since now students and parents have their personal number or social media accounts. And so we hope that this lockdown brings about a new mindset about education, and we as future teachers expect our profession to be more valued. And finally, this is why we believe that more than ever, we have to be compassionate and empathetic towards our students' feelings and emotions.
Good morning. Another aspect that teachers should bear in mind is motivation. It is important for both teachers and students to find new ways to motivate our classes. Almost daily, teachers could research new forms to be in contact with the students and to make their classes more dynamic. For instance, they can bring games to the class, which are said to be highly beneficial for children and for teachers as well, because they give us the opportunity to relax and have a nice moment despite the tragic reality outside. Additionally, students are feeling overly observed. They miss school. As Ines Dussel said, the classroom space is becoming more public space. where parents take over and sometimes assist or even do the children's tasks without having any pedagogical preparation. This, what Dussel calls, is also a problem because it generates the loss of the idea of school. Now, we would like to share with you a brief poem of Dr. Seuss that says, I will teach you in a room, I will teach you on now Zoom. I will teach you in your house, I will teach you with a mouse. I will teach you here and there, I will teach you because I care. So just do your very best and do not worry about the rest.
Okay, well, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jessica, and now I'm going to speak about the use of ICTs in the classroom in the past and now. Well, to begin with this topic, it is important to define the term ICT. That is an acronym that stands for Information and Communication Technology. And since we are living in a world where technology is so present nowadays, the integration of ICT in the classroom is inevitable. The use of technology is seen as an effective strategy to be used with students in order for them to improve their teaching and learning process. Consequently, teachers are encouraged to use ICT in their daily practice for the benefit of their students. Well, technology is not something new in the classroom. The truth is that it has been used in different ways, for example, as tape recorders, audio labs, and videos since the 60s and 70s, and later on CDs, DVDs, online clips, and interactive whiteboards were also included and are still present in classrooms nowadays. However, the truth is that teachers do not really fully exploit ICTs in the classroom. Technology is generally neglected and it doesn't have a very present place within the classroom. Technology is generally used on very rare occasions and they are used for specific tasks and at different times. But there are reasons why this happened. For instance, the limited teachers' experience with ICT, also their limited knowledge as regards how to use them or how to integrate them in their classrooms, lack of technological tools in schools, and also very limited opportunities, mainly due to lessons. Fortunately, there are some programs around the world which have been created in order to bring from different backgrounds and technology. Just to mention a few, we can say one laptop per child in the United States, Nigeria, and India. Plan Caibal in Uruguay and Conectar Igualdad in Argentina. What these plans have in common is that they want to transform education by integrating technology in students' lives. Programs work in this way. Some computers are distributed to teachers and students since they are very young, and they can use these laptops at school or also at home. By giving students the chance to keep computers for their personal use, it goes beyond the educational sphere and it can make social change, a social transformation. That's why they are doing this, because the main intention is to create a digital citizenship. Well, these projects have been widely praised and criticized for different reasons. It has been praised because laptops themselves can be used as pedagogical resources, since they are equipped with different programs and contents that can be used in different such as maths, biology, and physics. More content, more information, and games. However, some of the drawbacks that teachers mention is the lack of maintainability and instruction to use these laptops. Whenever they arrive at school, they face different problems. For instance, they realize that not all children inside a classroom have the laptop at the same time. Sometimes they forget them at home. Sometimes the government hasn't delivered them yet. And if they all have computers, if all computers have already arrived, sometimes they face the lack of trained personnel to set up computers, and also to deal with problems whenever certain technological issues arise. As a result, it is quite complicated to use computers inside the lesson and in order to integrate them in the tasks. So another drawback that teachers usually mention is that students don't really know how to use computers, and teachers neither, because they don't really know all the contents that are integrated in the laptops. Okay, so what we can reflect here is that the mere distribution of a laptop or a computer is not enough, because students as well as teachers need to be trained, and they should be given tools in order to have knowledge and a background to know how to fully exploit the different aspects of laptops in order to raise critical digital citizens, and not just to use laptops as a mere representation or replacement of blackboards and printed. When coronavirus pandemic struck the world, everything changed, and ICT moved from a not so relevant position to be the central position in the learning process. Teachers were forced to find different ways to communicate.
I think
Social networks.
Okay.
Platforms.
We have lost connection. Now it's back.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we do.
Okay. Well, I was saying that when coronavirus pandemic struck, teachers were almost forced to find different ways to connect to students, and mainly using platforms that they had never considered before. For example, the use of the radio, internet programs, educational platforms, television programs, WhatsApp messages, and social networks in general. For some professionals, the incorporation of ICT in the learning process is beneficial because it can be tailored to the different needs of the participants. However, for some others, it's something negative because the current scenario is devastating due to pre-existent inequality in resources. So when teachers plan a project and prepare tasks, they should bear in mind the different constraints students may face in order not to make, in order not to deepen their inequalities. Well, consequently, for teachers, the workload has multiplied, and they are all the time connected, answering students' needs via WhatsApp, emails, and even the telephone. So we can say that now the use of technology is playing a key role in this context of pandemic. And after this, that they are for students learning. All in all, it must be also borne in mind, it is not only learners, but also educators who need to be trained in order how to use these resources in a fruitful way. So it would be convenient if they were trained in order to get tools, knowledge, and also to recognize the different technological uses, and also to try and see what works best for each group.
Okay, now we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. And what is emotional intelligence? In this case, emotional intelligence is consciously choosing thoughts, feelings, actions to get primary results in your relationship with yourself and others. Developing in children's emotional intelligence can play a great role not only in their character's growth, but in academic learning, as well as to provide a sound education for children and equip them with the right skills and tools. Also, schools need to go beyond academic and pay serious attention to developing children's essential emotional intelligence.
It is difficult not to feel concerned about what children are going through in these busy times on so many different levels. We can think of a whole family sharing a single device, lack of internet connection, limited access to printed materials, isolation from friends and family, excess of obligation, and overexposure. This may ultimately lead to stress.
Well, being exposed to high stress levels over time can damage and impair children's cognition, and when the mind experiences high stress, learning cannot take place here. Jacques Shonkoff, a Harvard professor, said that an excessive experience with toxic stress can disrupt the development of brain circuits related to stress response and also to learning and memory. De-stressing can be an important part of classroom routines. Research shows that learning cannot take place when the brain is preoccupied, and it is important to allow children to clear their minds and become more in tune with their own feelings and emotions.
In order to support this emotional development, teachers can recognize children's emotional responses as valid, display empathy, model suitable expressions of emotion, provide children the required time, space, and materials to explore emotional challenges, assist children to expand their verbal skills in order to cope with difficult situations, and support children as they build connections with their prior experiences in order to manage new challenges. But if we want to help our students with their emotional development, first we need to be emotionally intelligent teachers. The qualities we need to become are self-awareness, managing emotions, self-motivation, and empathy.
Good morning. The importance of a positive learning environment. Creating and maintaining a positive, safe, and healthy learning environment must be a top priority for teachers. If the environment is not a positive one, a great deal of teachers' effort is wasted. This means that the teacher can share his or her negative feelings that can affect students. For example, students feel stressed, anxious, or nervous. Teachers' attitudes towards the current situation. Actions speak louder than words. Children read our emotions through observing our body language before we say anything. This means that students can be negatively influenced. For instance, a frowning face or a loud voice can increase their level of stress and, as a result, their learning process suffers the consequences. Now I would like to share one part of Ines Dussel's speech, which says, this whole situation is also problematic on a psychological level. The fact that classes can no longer be attended in person has resulted in depression and anxiety disorders due to the loss of face-to-face contact among teachers and classmates. The pedagogical accompaniment is still present, but it is difficult to read the emotional needs of the students through a screen. It is worthwhile to consider that we must strive to accompany our students not only from the pedagogical point of view, but also through dialogue and empathy. In the case of little children, they are one of the most affected age groups during this situation because they need to develop social skills and they lose concentration easily. Now, as a personal opinion, we think that we, as teachers, are aware of this horrible situation that includes the virus and the quarantine. To tell the truth, it is really complicated for all of us, including the students. But we have to be positive, share our tranquility and responsibility towards children's learning process. This means that we do not have to give up, so we have to go step by step, hoping that one day we can share a classroom with our students. And now there are several exercises that we can put into practice during these virtual classes. As regards the first one, deep breathing, this is an exercise in which students have to inhale and exhale the air very deeply. In this way, they can be relaxed, they can calm down, and they can avoid stress. This exercise could be also be combined with slow tempo music, and the effect will be better.
Regarding the feeling thermometer, it can be used to gauge a child's feeling and to develop his or her self-awareness. For example, the teacher might have noticed that a student is not as happy or as active as he or she usually is. The feeling thermometer can be used to help the child reflect on how he or she is feeling. Children can quantify the strength of their feeling or emotion by using a scale from 1 to 10, writing it on the chat, or by showing that thermometer to the camera. Another way of using the feeling thermometer is for teachers to measure the general emotional temperature of the class, to see how ready students are to learn, and to give them the chance to express their emotions if they want to.
And the last one is journal writing. In this case, it can help children by liberating stress and also help children to integrate and understand their feelings and thoughts while experiencing a release of stress. Writing about personal problems is known to help people by allowing for a release of negative emotions surrounding the dilemma.
Well, hello. Well, we're going to talk about what will happen after the pandemic as regards education. Well, it will be a dual system. That is to say that half of the classes will be developed at school and the other half will be on virtual platforms. Besides, there are going to be fewer students in the classroom to allow social distance. And children will be divided into groups according to the days of the week. They're going to attend school, and the other group will be attend classes virtually, and they are going to alternate the days. Well, as regards importance, priority, the priority is on the students who are beginning the primary school because they are learning how to write and how to read, and the students that are at the latest steps in education, for example, secondary schools, students that are going to be at work or at university the following year. So these students are going to be first as regards when they are going to return to the classes the traditional way. Well, as regards the hygienic aspect, teachers are going to be delivered masks out of charge provided by the state in order to feel secure. And as regards the number of classes they are going to have, winter and summer holidays are going to be respected. And but at the beginning of the year, the following year, there are going to be summer schools that are going to be part pedagogic, and the other part will be from to have fun. Yes, so they are going to recover students, the ones who have left this year, and to keep on track the ones that are going to stay at school. So if there's any positive COVID case at school, schools should be closed and cleaned deeply in order to avoid more ill people. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thanks, fourth year students. Yes, it's been very, very interesting to listen to you. Now we are going to listen to Ivan Coritan. He's a student of the local school of journalism, and he's gonna tell us about the results of the survey he took, and I mean he and his colleagues and friends made under the supervision of Maria Ocheta and Fabiola Bais.
Good morning and afternoon, everyone. Okay, I start with the article. Are young people in favor of the lockdown? More than 300 Bahienses participate in this poll, most of them students. On March 20, Argentinians began to experience social isolation as the main prevention measure against COVID-19. After 70 days, a group of journalist students was encouraged to ask young people of the city of Bahía, Blanca, how they were living this experience. The survey was carried out by means of a series of questions through Google. About 300 youngsters participated in this project, which yielded surprise data. This survey expressed a clear adherence to the lockdown ordered by the government. 65% of the 318 response expressed the agreement to social, preventive, and compulsory isolation. A result that seems striking at the first glance, given that great resistance may be expected from this sample of the population. Most of the participants, 75, were women, who were well disposed to carry out of the survey, while men were represented in the remaining 25%. The survey consisted of questions that were directed towards the age group of 18 to 25. One of the questions pointing to the emotion and feelings that social, preventive, and compulsory isolation aroused. The answers give seemed bleak. A large number of the response voted for the word anguish among the three options they could choose. The second most vote was sadness. The third place was occupied by fear, and the fourth by joy and loneliness in equal numbers. The other feelings mentioned were anxiety, uncertainty, and anger. Another section of the survey asked, during confinement, what have you missed the most? Participants could select up to 3 options. The most voted were meeting friends, with a wide margin before others, family gathering, and lastly, exercising or sports. The responses revealed in this item showed a marked need for social and family contact. When asking about certain decline in the economy, we found that 53.1% stated they did not have or had not had economic problems, while 46.9% expressed having been affected. Linked to the previous answer and consulted on the economic viability and technological resource, 95% of the young people expressed having access to them and being able to continue studying through the virtual modality. The pandemic and consequent quarantine, or SPCE, has changed social life, and young people are no exception. Although it could be thus that sample of the population will be the last willing to agree this measure. Since they are the ones that usually go out the most or share outings and parties with group or friends. The surveys revealed that they are responsible enough to consider social lockdown as the appropriate measure to combat COVID-19. And although more than have not expressed concern about their personal finances, we can very markedly observe feeling of anguish, sadness, loneliness, and fear as the results of the isolation. These feelings clearly denote the strong emotional impact that quarantine leaves. Undoubtedly, this last aspect should be seriously considered by authorities, healthcare professionals, young people, as well as by the general population.
Thank you very much, Ivan.
You're
Now
welcome.
we're going to listen to Agustina Negretti. She's going to introduce the guest speakers, and she's going to chair this part of the talk. So if you have any questions, you can send them by chat, and she will be glad to read them out and try to find an answer to this. So Agus, it's your turn.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for those abroad. We are really glad to welcome Profesora María Antonia Castro, Head of Evening School in Madrid, Professor José Ramón Lanza from IES Santa Clara in Santander, Spain, and Profesora Noelia Pavin from Rome, Italy. I don't know if María Antonia, you want to start describing a bit about the situation in Spain and at your school?
Well, first of all, I must say I'm really impressed. Amazing presentation. Congratulations, everybody. Well, I don't think the situation changes very much. Concretely, I have written down some names. Melina Mohamed, she explained exactly our feelings. Micaela Gallardo, I totally agree with everything you said. And with Diego, so the fact of not meeting with their mates, especially children, this creates sorts of frustration and depression. I totally agree with that. And our experience is the same. A lack of technological things at home, having to share one computer. I work for a private school where sometimes we have got two sisters or two brothers, and they have got different levels, same table, and only one computer at home. So this has created a lot of problems. There are many parents working at home as well and needing the computer. So all these things have been really problems for us. We also noticed, because we started in March, and we noticed with the pass of the time, they got really tired, and we noticed that there were fewer and fewer students connecting. So from having 12, we ended up having 2. So they got really fed up with connecting. Lack of connectivity in some houses. We have noticed that in your presentation as well. There were, some of you I could hear very well, and there were some people I couldn't hear so well. So this happens in a real class as well. So I think it is everything you said reflects our feelings in Spain, at least what I have lived. And concerning the post-pandemic situation, I wish we could say that we return to our normal situation before the pandemic. Although I am sure that we will have some problems in October, and we are getting ready for that. But we continue having the same problems, and we will continue having the same problems. We have got a ratio, because in our school we have got 12 students per class, and we have got a ratio of 1 teacher, 8 students, 7 or 8 students. As a matter of fact, we're starting on Monday a summer camp, and we usually had 14 students in a group, and now we can only register 7 students, and this is going to be the reality in September as well.
Thank you so much. José Ramón, I don't know if you want to say something about what happens in secondary school where you work.
Yeah, well, great job, everybody. I really enjoyed that. And thanks both institutions for inviting me. Through a friend in common, we have Gabby and me. And well, I mostly agree with everything you've said on the presentations, and with Maria Antonia as well. I work for the public school here. Illa Santa Clara here in Santander is the biggest in the region. We have over 1,500 students in 3 shifts. And I work in the morning shift, and we have around 800. So you can imagine the challenge that we've been through with all the technology, and especially with getting in touch with all the students. That was really hard, really difficult, because we were told on a Thursday that that Friday schools will be closed until further notice. And we didn't know how long that would last. So I think everybody took only the books, laptops, and that's it. And some emails, because most of the students didn't attend on that Friday. So that was the most difficult part. And then we had I mean, not all students have the same access to technology. And I mean, the school provided students with all the portable devices we have. I mean, any laptops, tablets, and everything that we use in the school, they were delivered to their homes, and the authorities provided them with the internet connection in some cases. So it took us about more than a week to make it roll, and to start normal lessons. The difficult part of that was to motivate students, of course. That was very, very difficult. And then we had different instructions in, I think it was mid-April, that we have to take care of the students who had passed in the second term, and we had to take care of the students who had not passed on the second term when we closed school. So we rearranged the groups again, and then we had 2 different groups in each group. So to give the students who had passed not those academic activities and tasks, that was very difficult, and to adapt them to the platforms, to virtual platforms. Someone said, I didn't note down the names as Maria Antonia did, but someone said that it was very difficult to handle those platforms, and each teacher had a different platform. So students had to face, I don't know, 5 platforms from different teachers, and that was really difficult. And one thing that we've talked about that on the assessment sessions we had is that we had to make students be honest sometimes, because they try to take advantage of the situation. And well, it's very difficult to control all the I mean, students not copying, not in exams, but in tasks. But the positive thing of that is that we think that they've seen that there is another way that we can grade and assess students, not only through tests and exams, and they can be tested through quizzes, collaborative projects, and many other things. And we think, I mean, we think that they've seen that they're more aware of their learning process, and they're able to work in a more autonomous way, and they can self-access information on the internet. I mean, I've always believed in self-access, and I participate and collaborate in a blog, in a group of teachers that we publish activities in a blog. Well, the founder of the blog is somewhere watching us, and we've always believed in that. So I think with the pandemic has proved that we were right. You know, that they can do that, but they really need the support of a teacher. And for us as teachers, I think that I mean, the model is here to stay. From now on, we have to plan things differently, I think. In September, when we go back to school, the 1st of September, we'll have to plan differently regarding with contents, timing, assessment, and all that. I mean, it's a different approach to technology integrated in our lessons, even though we have face-to-face, hopefully. But we have to plan A and to plan B, so to speak. And for that, someone said, so we need to be trained. I mean, we've seen that we are surrounded by technology, but we don't integrate technology in our lessons. I mean, yes, we all use computers, overhead projectors, whiteboards, or someone said tape recorders. I'm from that age of tape recorders. But yes, we have to be trained for that. well, I think that's all.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have you received any guidelines by major authorities in education? Say, I don't know if you have a ministry or something like that, or is it up to each school or up to even each teacher, which techniques or in which way they are going to adapt their work?
No, it's up to each teacher. I mean, we've worked, I mean, I work in collaboration with my friends at school, you know, to share activities that worked for their groups. But we were given just the guidelines that we had to assess those students who hadn't passed before the lockdown. And for those who had passed, they had what it's called kind of the safety net. I mean, they couldn't be graded lower than they had been graded on the end of February. So it was really difficult to keep those students, as Maria Antonia said. We saw the number of students who had passed when they knew that they were passing. It was like, okay, that's it. I've got a 6 out of 10. That's perfect. Bye-bye. So, but most of them kept on track. And from time to time, they came back to the platform and did activities as well.
Okay, and what about network working? Are there any networks already working at the moment in which you can connect with other teachers from other parts of Spain or even the same city or from other parts of the world?
Not really. Here in Cantabria, where I live, we are joined by a platform called Jedra, but it's mostly to send messages between teachers and families. So it's not a platform to work with the students, with tasks and activities. So we've been working with Google Teams, with Google Classroom, Edmodo, Moodle, you know, but we've been using the one that was easier for us, right. You know, after 3 or 4 days of self-training.
Right. Thank you so much for your insights. What about Noelia in Italy? What's the situation like there?
Okay, hello everyone, and thank you, Gabriela, for having invited me to this meeting. I'm glad that I'm meeting Laura, Alejandra, after 9 years. Here in Italy, now we are unlocked, let's say. It's summer, it's really hot today, and people is already enjoying that we are no longer locked at home. It has been a real difficult period for all, and I imagine that working as a teacher has been a real challenge, because as adults, we didn't understand really what was happening. And all of a sudden, in March, we had to prepare for everything that we didn't know when that would end. So since March, students have been using all types of platforms, even WhatsApp. But a question has been raised here about privacy, because children from very young ages were using these platforms. The question of privacy here in Italy is an issue. They really make you fill papers for everything, it's really a serious issue, and it was a challenge in that sense, because, well, the image of children were exposed to. And what else can I say? Well, the connectivity problem was also maybe people, the families were living near mountains, or I don't know, especially in the north, and they were really suffering this connectivity problem. I remember reading an article about a family, a mother, that had to go with his child by car and share the internet for the student to use to make his tasks, but in the middle of nowhere. It was like a park, let's say. So require a lot of organization in all sense for the families, for teachers. And I think we can like learn from this situation that we can no longer assess students with marks. Maybe we have to change that, and maybe another way of like evaluating students. So I think this is a break from the traditional school to the new technological, let's say, education. I don't agree with let's say the physical going to the classroom is it will not be replaced, but we should like make a mixture of it, and we as teacher we have to like keep on updating every time. I mean, and we have to also work with the schools, the directors, and the governments, like to push a little bit about this, because they were receiving some laptops and equipment, but it was not immediately. Let's say like at the end of the year they receive all the material, and that means that there is a lot of that we have to work on that. So more or less is what I have seen here in Rome.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with your idea of this holistic evaluation. This is what we are working on in our country, in Argentina. I don't know if Maria Antonia can say something about evaluation at your level, at the level you teach.
Sorry, for me?
Sorry, I was writing. So I was writing in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
Well, evaluation was also difficult, and we had the same problem. Well, Jose Ramon has talked about that as well. Assessing and evaluating was also difficult. We are still sending our reports to parents, and the thing is, in our case, the problem was that we started with a number of students in March. We had a number of students, and then, the number has decreased so much that there isn't a real evaluation just at the end of the course. We are finishing on Tuesday, and as I said before, courses with 12 students have got now 2 students. So it is a nightmare. I cannot say anything about that. It is private. It is not a case of Jose Ramon. In my case, it is a private language school. So nothing to do with the higher school, for instance.
Okay. So you don't have to...
I think that's different.
Sorry?
No, I think that's the difference, because Maria Antonia works for a private school and I work for a public school. So we have to legally give students their grades at the end of the year. I mean, we've sent them their records. I don't know, today, Saturday, I think it was Thursday or even yesterday, I don't remember. But I mean, they have to be graded and they have to, and we've been arranging groups for next year as well, mixing students and things like that. But they need a record of their grades.
And how do you...
We do it too. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right, Maria Antonia, go on.
No, we do it too. But the thing is, parents are very demanding. They want teachers to send them the reports, no matter whether they have attended the course regularly till the very end or not. But they want this report as well, because this is also the key for the new start in September. So sometimes for the teachers, it is very hard really to write something because they haven't finished the course. And what you said before, Jose Ramon, that some students attended and some students were visible, sometimes they were invisible, because sometimes they don't want to switch on the camera.
Yeah, we were like a holiday, yeah, for some.
And this is really hard for us. No real, in my case, it is not real. I don't think it's a real assessment, a real evaluation of the course.
No, I think, I mean, there's no statistics yet, but I think it's over 15% more people passing this year. I mean, for example, for the entry test for university that we have, I mean, here in Cantabria is the 8th of July, that week. I think there's around 20% more people taking this exam this year, because they have the idea it's going to be easier, and it will probably be. I mean, because they're going to be given more options in the exam. But to give you an idea, I usually check these exams, and we have like 22 teachers marking these exams every year, and this year we have 34. So, and we check in between 80 and 100. I mean, usually it's 100 exams to mark. So if it's usually 2,600, this year is going to be over 3,000 students. I mean, and this is very small. I mean, my region is not a big one.
I think if I can give my opinion, I think this has been a real difficult time for all. I mean, and the first in September, for example, they are planning to reopen the school, but maybe we will be locked again. We don't know yet. I mean, this is like, it will be like a whole year that we will be challenging for everyone. So I think this is a great opportunity, for example, when we really work in the working experience, we the adults we have. I mean, the assessment, I mean, I think school has to change this way of assessing students, like the traditional squared way. I mean, we can give a task to the student, and we can like apply the Montessori pedagogy that I think is great. And every place in the house or in the garden of the house, it's like a learning place for the thing is that it requires cooperation from the parents, that they are losing their jobs also, they have problems, and well, it's a chain of cooperation that we have to work all together, teachers, directors, parents. So it's interesting. I would think it's a challenge. Yeah, we are all working like 20 hours per day, but it's interesting.
Yeah, and it's strange, but this may sound strange, but I think this pandemic has made us be closer to our students in a way. I mean, someone in the presentation talked about empathy. And then I think that began from the very first day of this lockdown. I mean, not only with students, but with families, parents working from home, sharing a computer with students, I mean, with brothers, sisters. And I mean, it was really, really difficult. I mean, one of my students is my neighbor next door. And it's a single mother with 4 children, aged 4 to 12 or 13. And they were sharing one computer. I mean, they were sharing a mobile phone at the beginning till the school provided them with a computer. So, you know, that's what I mean when I say empathy and getting closer with the students.
Thank you so much for your insights. I don't know if anyone would like to take a final word to round off.
I was disconnected for a while. I'm so sad that I couldn't listen to this part of the talk, but then I will listen to it again. Yes, I'm sure. But I want to say something because I just could listen to the last part. I don't know whether you talked anything about the role of the government in this pandemic. I talked to Claudio Martini. Claudio Martini is the regional inspector. He's an educational authority because I don't work in state schools. To tell you the truth, I work only in private institutions. And so I wanted to get a little bit more information about this situation as regards the help of the government. And he told me, apart from what I think everyone knows that is going on here in Buenos Aires province, because this varies from province to province. I don't know whether there is someone in the audience that is listening from another province, but here in Buenos Aires province, there is a project called Keep on Educating. And so students who, I mean, I'm talking about underprivileged children, right? I'm not talking about students who go to private institutional schools that have technology at hand, but I'm talking about underprivileged students who not necessarily have a computer at home. I know that most of them have a cell phone, but this is true, everyone has a cell phone, but not computer and not all the devices probably necessary for this. And well, he told me that every time the family goes to school to pick up the food bag, because they need food, first of all, because if they don't eat, they cannot study. Every time they go for the food, teachers give the parents some tasks. There is a booklet, in fact, a booklet with activities. With those who teach in state school, maybe can intervene and give us more detail about this. And then this booklet is also on internet in case they are lucky and they have a computer, or they can have access by the phone without using mobile data. This is good. The point is how to follow the students, how to get students do the activities. And well, that's I think the challenging part of this story, because it's not easy. Especially in communities where children are, well, they're in need of other things, right? We know this because a group of students from 3rd and 4th year here at Instituto Juan XXIII are working with the underprivileged community, Barrio 9 de Noviembre. And well, I know the effort they are doing to give lessons to these children during this time. But talking to the people in charge of this, one of the main, interest is, well, having children eat, right? So first food, then after they are with their stomach full, let's say, they can study, they can, well, and this is also part of our reality here in Argentina. Then there are stage channels such as Paca Paca, Canal Encuentro, where lessons are given. They are scheduled according to the level of the students. So there are timetables for different courses, right? This is also what the government has provided. They are happy with this so far. To evaluate, because so far evaluation is just qualitative. There is no quantitative evaluation. And of course, it's because, it's different when we are not in the presence of the students in the class. I think this will change when we are going back to the classrooms. But so far, we evaluate the students according to the work they do. Sometimes cooperatively. If they are children, it's more difficult to get them into groups to work cooperatively. If they are, let's say, attending the last years at secondary school, or they are attending, well, high school, that's easy. They get together, they organize Zoom meetings, and they study together. But for children, as someone you mentioned, I think it was Ramon, because as I told you, I just listened to the last part. You mentioned the fact that your neighbor is a woman with a lot of children, and she has to be there, let's say, at a minute's notice, as I said before we started this, to help children. And it happens to me. I also have a child, and well, all of a sudden I have to go back to my high school years, and sometimes I tell you the truth, I don't know, for instance, for maths, I can't help in maths. I can't. And well, now teachers send tutorials, but at the beginning it was just homework, and only that. I think that little by little everyone is getting organized in this virtuality. I don't know what you think. Is there anyone who's not from Buenos Aires province and can tell us something about what the government is doing with them during this pandemic? No, maybe most of us are from Buenos Aires. Okay. Right. So, Agus, is there any other question?
No.
No. All right.
No,
so maybe we can, I don't know whether Ramon or Ana Maria Antonia or Noe want to say something else. We are about to finish. I want to thank you. I want to thank the guest speakers, the students who worked really hard. Yes. And yes, applaud, yes. And of course the audience, right, for being here with us. And now before closing the meeting, because I would like Analia Leiros, the head of the English Association, to close it, I also want to thank the RIEC, the Department of Relaciones Institucionales, Extensión Cultural, right? Because they always help us. I mean, we are having this meeting because they are behind us, yes? And so thanks a lot. Well, now let's listen to Analia Leiros.
Thank you, Gabriela. I think it's been very interesting to share all these ideas and all these views about education in times of pandemic and post-pandemic times. On behalf of ABIB, the Association of Teachers of Bahía Blanca, I would like to thank you, Gabriela, for organizing all this event, and as well as the professors, the teachers, students, and guest speakers who have taken part. And this is precisely what ABIB is all about. Our main role is to provide teachers with opportunities for professional growth. So we have been working together in order to share different online resources, and we have had very positive feedback from our members. As you may know, we are currently focused on a survey so as to redefine our vision, our objectives, and our future courses of action. So once again, thank you, Abby, thank you, everybody, thank you, people from RIEC, and we invite you all to become involved by becoming a member of the association and work together for our community of teachers. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank very, very much our speakers from abroad, Maria Antonia, Jose Ramon, and Noelia, for taking your time to be here and contribute to this talk with your images of what's happening at your places. So thank you all very much. And I don't know if people from Juan XXIII would like to, and Cynthia here.
Yes, just to thank everyone for their effort, for their hard work. Yes, and congratulations. The presentations were great. Thanks, everyone.
I don't know, Inés, if you want to close the meeting.
Sí, muchísimas gracias a todos y a cada uno por haberse sumado a este encuentro, principalmente a todos los que participaron y pudieron compartir con nosotros como espectadores las distintas experiencias. Ha sido muy enriquecedor cada uno de sus aportes, valoramos su presencia y seguramente esto nos va a animar a seguir creando estos espacios de encuentro que tan beneficiosos y necesarios son también en este tiempo. Así que agradecemos a todos los que se han conectado desde los lugares donde están y seguramente dejamos abierta la invitación para volvernos a encontrarnos próximamente. Muchas gracias a cada uno de ustedes y a todos los que se sumaron a este espacio. En nombre del Instituto Superior Juan XXIII. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Un saludo desde España a todos.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.